Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Experience America by Rail, introduced by Railbookers. My name is Peter Traynor, and I'll be your host for the start of this presentation before passing on to Jim Marini from Amtrak Vacations. As you can see on your screen, we will be offering some exclusive discounts for people on the webinar today. Details will be at the end, and also one person will win a £100 Amtrak Vacations gift card at the end of the presentation. We thought it's quite opportune timing to cover Experience America by Rail with all the TV coverage we're getting at the moment. I know Michael Portillo's series is being rerun on BBC Two. Recently we had Billy Connolly have a series on Amtrak Vacations across the States, and even the BBC News Channel had a travel show dedicated to it recently. So all of you listening are familiar with Railbookers, but I just wanted to remind you of why we recommend you travel with us. We've been established in the UK since 2003, and we can tailor-make the itinerary to your exact requirements. You can travel any day, and you can amend any itinerary to suit your own particular wishes. We've got very experienced and knowledgeable sales staff that can guide you through what can be quite complex rail itineraries, and you might not be that familiar with the different accommodations on the trains, etc. But we can also, it's not purely a rail holiday. We can add day trips, excursions, transfers, car hire, and obviously we can arrange your air travel to and from the States as well if required. We handpick our hotels, all very central, convenient to the stations, and as I said, it's what we do. It's all we do is put together rail travel and putting together rail inclusive holidays. We will, at the end of the presentation, if you have any questions, please just type it into the box you can see. You'll see on the bottom of your screen, and we will then provide answers for those at the end of the presentation. Obviously, it'll be of use to everybody listening. So type them as you go, but we'll address them at the end. Now I'll hand over to the guest speaker, Jim Marini, who's Director of Sales for Amtrak Vacations. Over to you, Jim.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Peter. And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining Peter and myself on behalf of Railbookers and Amtrak Vacations. So excited to share with you some of our most popular train holidays here in America. I did want to mention, too, on any of these exciting rail holidays, feel free to give Railbookers a call. That number is listed right there in the middle of the screen. So feel free, if you have a pen and paper, to write that number down and give them a call. Their vacation agents are there waiting and ready to help each and every one of you. So without further ado, everybody, why Amtrak Vacations? I always like to start out my presentations just to give everyone a nice overview on traveling by train and having a great holiday here in America. So why Amtrak Vacations? First off, it is a bucket list experience, and hopefully for some of you on today's call, it is something you've thought about or maybe have even experienced. But when we've asked many of our travelers all over the world why Amtrak Vacations, that's always one of the top reasons. It's a bucket list, a wish list experience. So hopefully it is for many of you on today's call as well. Also, room to roam, just like the great train system all throughout Europe, we here in the States, we want you to get up, stretch your legs, walk around the train, and just know that you can enjoy everything and all the amenities that the train has to offer. Also, less hassle. When you book your holiday through Railbookers, everyone, as hopefully some of you may be aware, when it comes to Amtrak Vacations, it's all electronic. So e-ticketing, e-documents, they can provide you all that information, and it's literally at the click of a button. So very, very easy. Also, city-to-city service. I love mentioning this particular part, everyone. For those of you that have ever traveled to New York City, as an example, Penn Station, which is the major train station in New York City, really is the best way to get in and out of the city and to begin or end your train holiday. It is within walking distance to Times Square, to some of the famous Broadway shows, and that's Penn Station, that's New York City. The same applies even when we travel out to some of the beautiful national parks, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. The train pulls you right up into the heart of each and many of these parks, so keep that in mind. Also, satisfy your hunger. There is a snack car on board any of the trips that are during the day, and on any of the overnight trips, something excited I wanted to share with all of you is we do have a private chef on board. All the food is fresh, made to order. Then one of the things to keep in mind, which I'll talk about in a little bit, is whenever you upgrade to either a roomette or a bedroom, which would be part of your sleeper categories, any of our sleepers on the train, you get all your meals included on the overnight portion of your train holiday. So definitely a big highlight, and make sure to ask Railbookers about that. And as Peter mentioned earlier, any of these rail holidays can be tailor-made to be as long or as short as you would like, to start and end when you would like. We have multiple departures every day, so the trains have multiple times that they leave and arrive into many of the different train stations throughout the United States. And speaking of train stations, everyone, if you take a look at this next picture, I love showing the map, and it always surprises a lot of our passengers from all over the world, and that is all the places that Amtrak actually travels to. Believe it or not, there's actually over 500 destinations across America that Amtrak services. Last year alone, over 31 million people traveled on Amtrak. And interestingly enough, Amtrak actually travels to 46 out of the 48 continuous states in the United States, with the exception of South Dakota and Wyoming. And the last point is, if you look at the map, as you can see, pretty much in the middle, if you find the city of Chicago, that is more or less the hub, the heartbeat of Amtrak in the United States, pretty much where most of the overnight trips start and or end. So keep that in mind. Little fun trivia for everyone. Did you know that you can actually choose, as I mentioned, between over 500 different Amtrak stations to start and or end your journey? And as Peter mentioned, of course, Railbookers can help you with those flight arrangements to book your air, as well as even your air within America. So if you want to fly from point A to point B and then travel on the train, again, any of these rail holidays can be tailor-made. Speaking of holidays, we do have a handful of different types. Today's presentation is going to focus more on our independent FIT rail holidays, otherwise independent journeys. We do have family adventures. Those are typically 4 to 6 days. Rail experiences for some of you on today's call that want really more of the true train experience, then you may want to consider one of those rail holidays. We even have rail and sail packages. So if any of you want to travel on an Alaska cruise as well as experience traveling by rail, you might want to consider a rail and sail, as well as even 3-, 4-, and 5-day rail getaways. But again, today's focus will be more on our independent journeys, which typically range anywhere from 7 to 10 up to 12 days in length. And again, any of them can be tailor-made to be even longer or shorter if you choose. I did want to mention, too, when you book any of these exciting rail holidays in America, Railbookers also is able to provide a self-drive, so they can do car rentals for you. So if you'd like to even rent a car before or after your journey, you can do that. Also, the hotel standards I did want to mention, you have the flexibility and choice to choose hotels anywhere from Holiday Inn to Marriott to Hilton, Westin, Sheraton, all different types. Okay, so again, you get to decide which hotel standards you would like to choose from. So without further ado, everybody, let's dive right into some of our most popular rail holidays here in America, starting out with actually one of our top 3 most popular rail holidays, and that is our Grand Canyon Discovery. So if you take a look at this map, everyone, as you can see, we spend 2 nights in Chicago. All right, so obviously, again, Railbookers can book your air for you if you'd like. We can fly right from the UK out to Chicago, where you spend 2 nights. Again, you get to choose what hotel you'd like to stay at. And then from there, we have an overnight journey on the Southwest Chief. That's the name of the train that we travel on our journey down to Santa Fe, where we spend 2 nights before traveling into the Grand Canyon region. We actually do spend a night in the Grand Canyon on this particular rail holiday as well. Now, just one little reminder, again, if those of you might want to start your rail holiday, for instance, in, say, New York City or Boston, but you like this trip, well, again, Railbookers could be able to book your flight into New York or Boston and then provide you with the train transportation on Amtrak out to Chicago, even sightseeing in either of those cities before beginning this journey. So again, the same applies at the end if you even wanted to extend your trip, for instance, in California before flying back to the UK. You could do that as well. But for this trip, as I mentioned, it does start in the beautiful city of Chicago, one of my favorite cities. Hopefully some of you have had the opportunity to travel there, known for its delicious deep dish pizza, one of the cleanest cities that I've ever personally been to in the United States. As you can see on the left-hand side, we do include a hop-on, hop-off city tour, which I will let everyone know is such a great way to get in and around the city without having to either rent a car, which obviously you can do, or without having to take taxis or cabs throughout the city. You'll notice we also include dinner at a popular restaurant, and after we spend time in Chicago, we then board the Southwest Chief, as I mentioned, for our overnight journey down into beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico. Now, Santa Fe, New Mexico, lots of history, some great art, great cuisine, almost that Southwest type of feel here in the United States, so you'll have a chance to experience that before traveling over to Williams, where we have breakfast at the Grand Depot Cafe. And a real treat on this trip that I wanted to mention is we also include a journey on the Grand Canyon Railway. And that's your transportation, everyone, to take you right from Williams into the beautiful, one of the 7 wonders of the world, and that is the Grand Canyon. And as I mentioned, we do spend 1 night in the park itself. In fact, we also include a motor coach tour of the majestic South Rim, which lunch is included. So this trip itself, everyone, just a great, great itinerary. It also includes Flagstaff and Sedona. 10 days, 9 nights, again, starting in Chicago, ending in Sedona. Include your hotels. We include a few meals. As you can see, hop on, hop off, and some guided tours as well. So again, this trip, 10 days, 9 nights. Railbookers can take care of your entire rail holiday, from flights to hotels, meals, and of course train. Now, keeping with our national parks theme right at the beginning, we also have a great package called Yellowstone, Yosemite, also starting in Chicago for 2 nights. However, on this trip, everyone, we actually overnight on what's called the California Zephyr. I actually just had the pleasure of traveling recently on this trip, and it is spectacular, especially after you leave Chicago and you start getting into closer to Salt Lake City as you cross through the Rocky Mountains, where we spend 2 nights in Salt Lake City. Of course, a real highlight is heading north up to Yellowstone National Park. Now, I will let everyone know, when we travel to Yellowstone National Park, it's actually not on Amtrak. However, it's a motor coach transfer where we bring all of you up to the beautiful park, where we spend 2 nights before boarding again on the California Zephyr on our overnight journey to beautiful San Francisco for the last remainder of the tour. Now, again, as I mentioned, it does start out in Chicago. I will mention, too, some of you may be familiar with what's called Second City. It's a big comedy club in Chicago. In fact, many of the famous American actors and actresses, and actually even a lot of Canadian, originally actors and actresses from Canada, actually had their start in what's called Second City, which is located in Chicago. It's just really a famous, very, very famous comedy club here in the States. In fact, many of the performers actually went on to perform and be part of Saturday Night Live, which is a big show here in the States. Now, as I mentioned, we do board the beautiful California Zephyr once we leave Chicago, and this is what takes us through the mountains, again, through the Rocky Mountains before arriving in Salt Lake City. As I showed everyone earlier on the map, we do spend 2 nights here. We have a narrated tour of this beautiful city before having a motor coach transfer north up to Yellowstone National Park. Now, I will mention, everyone, some exciting news. We have already gotten all of our dates and prices and rates ready, so give Railbookers a call. And by the way, at the bottom of each picture on the right-hand corner, that's the phone number again that you can reach out right to Railbookers, who can help you with any of these exciting rail holidays. But Yellowstone is truly one of the most popular national parks here in the United States. This year is the centennial year, I may add. So if you're looking to even travel this year, again, give Railbookers a call. If not, we're already starting to see lots and lots of people book onto these wonderful holidays for next year. As I mentioned, it also includes San Francisco. Here we have a beautiful picture of the Golden Gate Bridge. They actually estimate it takes about 4 years to paint this bridge from one side to the next, about 4 years from start to finish. Imagine that. By the way, did I mention it also includes Yosemite National Park? So not only do you have Yellowstone, you also have Yosemite, and we actually have a tour included from San Francisco. So this trip itself, everyone, 11 days, 10 nights, again, starting in Chicago, ending in beautiful San Francisco. So again, keep this particular trip in mind, this rail holiday, for your next journey. Now, one thing I thought I would just touch on, since we're so close to the border, is when you book with Railbookers, not only do you have the opportunity to book any wonderful, exciting rail holidays here in America, but also you can even do a trip on Via Rail, okay? And that's available as well. So this trip is our classic Canada and the Rockies eastbound, 2 nights Vancouver, 2 nights Jasper, before the remainder of the trip in Toronto. Now, Vancouver, the former home of the Winter Olympics. This also includes a hop-on, hop-off tour as well. And then we get into really some of the most beautiful areas. And with talking about the beautiful national parks in America, the Canadian Rockies is certainly no different, and the scenery is absolutely spectacular. And as I mentioned, not only do you have the opportunity to travel on any exciting rail holidays in America on Amtrak, but Railbookers is your one-stop shop when it comes to truly worldwide rail holidays, and Canada is no different up in beautiful North America. Now, this trip does also include a day trip out to Niagara Falls. So we will have a trip out to Niagara where we'll go on a trip on one of the beautiful cruises. So this rail holiday, everybody, 12 days, 11 nights, again, starting in Vancouver, ending in Toronto. But one of the things I did want to mention to everyone is on any of these rail holidays that I talk about here today, whether in America or in Canada, any of them can go either eastbound or westbound. So they can go in either direction. So again, as Peter mentioned right at the beginning, any of these itineraries, any of these rail holidays can be tailor-made to your liking. Now, outside of the beautiful Canadian Rockies and the national parks, if we explore some of the other great areas of the United States, here's actually a rail holiday, everyone, that has done tremendous for us and Railbookers, and that is jazz, blues, and rock and roll. Look at this, everyone. Again, starting in Chicago for 2 nights, and then from there we board on what's known as City of New Orleans for an overnight train journey to Memphis, where we spend 2 nights, and then continue on down to beautiful New Orleans for the remainder of the rail vacation. Now, again, more beautiful sights on Chicago. Just a reminder, again, for those of you who may want to start your rail holiday, for instance, in either New York or Boston or Washington, D.C., but you would like to see this area as well, again, we could start and or end wherever you would like. After we spend time in Chicago, we then board City of New Orleans, as I mentioned, and it is heading south on an overnight journey to beautiful Memphis. Now, one of the things to keep in mind, and I'll touch on this in just a little bit, is again, on any of these independent journeys, everyone, the pricing, the rates, are all based in coach seating, which is the main seating on the train during the overnight journey. However, ask your Railbookers vacation consultant, ask them more about upgrading to a sleeper, either a roomette or a bedroom, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. You will not be disappointed. And before you know it, after we spend time in Memphis, it's down to beautiful New Orleans, which actually I just had the pleasure of just getting back from. They have all types of cuisine there, so if you're a little more adventurous, like I've become when it comes to eating cuisine, they have alligator, believe it or not. Not too often you get a chance to eat alligator. I had turtle soup, believe it or not. They have crawfish and shrimp with grits, which is almost like a kind of a porridge type of texture. So it is absolutely delicious, and of course local to the area. This itinerary, this rail holiday, everyone, 9 days, 8 nights, again, from Chicago down to the beautiful city of New Orleans. So keep that trip in mind as well. Now moving over to the West Coast, we have the Californian. Now one of the things you'll notice on this rail holiday, everyone, is you'll notice there's actually no overnight train that's offered, because the train actually does not travel overnight from San Francisco down to Los Angeles and San Diego. However, I will mention from San Francisco down to Los Angeles, we travel on the Coast Starlight. Even though it's during the day, we do offer, and again, Railbookers can help you with this, does offer an upgrade to a roomette or a bedroom. So keep that in mind. It starts out in one of my favorite cities, otherwise known as San Francisco. It was actually the first city I traveled to on my honeymoon, and I always tell the story. If you look in the top right-hand corner, you see a little picture of a crab. My wife and I went to this restaurant, and everything on the menu was not only made of crab, but it was also made of garlic as well. So if you could believe that, even the ice cream was. But it was a great, great vacation. San Francisco, one of the most beautiful cities in the U.S. Now, this trip also does do a day trip out to beautiful Yosemite National Park, which is a nice drive from San Francisco. It also includes a nice trip out to Napa Valley. So obviously, if you're going to be in the beautiful city of San Francisco, why not enjoy all the other great sites in and around? So we even head over to a winery in Sonoma and Napa Valley before traveling south on the Coast Starlight. Look at this picture, everyone. Now, why not consider doing this rail holiday in the months of January or February or March, right? As I can relate to myself, everyone, I am based in the Boston area, and certainly it can get a little bit cold and snowy and rainy. Why not have this for what you're seeing every day during your particular rail holiday? Now, it does include the great city of Los Angeles, one of the top 5 largest cities in the United States. We do include a hop-on, hop-off tour, and then it's over into probably the city that I refer to as having the most beautiful weather in the world, and that is San Diego. Every day, just absolutely beautiful, no humidity, very little, if any, just a nice breeze by the ocean front. Absolutely amazing. So this trip itself, this rail holiday, everyone, 9 days, 8 nights. And again, Railbookers can give you all the prices and the rates on any of these rail holidays as is, or again, if you would prefer to tailor-make any of them to add extra sites before, during, and after, again, any of these rail holidays can be tailor-made. And the last two I'm going to highlight is, first one is American Heritage. So for those of you who might want a rail holiday a little closer to home without having to fly across the United States, here's our American Heritage. As you can see, 2 nights in Boston, 3 in New York City, 2 in Philadelphia, and then the last 2 in Washington, D.C. Now, as I mentioned, I am calling everyone today from the Boston area. So we're very proud of our lobster rolls. So, when in New England, why not experience the local cuisine, right? We have Boston cream pie, which is a local favorite. If you're a big sports fan, I'm sure many of you are familiar, or certainly heard of the Boston Red Sox, the New England Patriots. We have so many great attractions here in the Boston area. Now, on this journey, we travel on the Northeast Regional. That's the train we use. And this train, there are no roomettes. There are no bedrooms offered because, again, it's just train during the day. The Northeast Regional, just so everyone knows, is our most traveled train route in the United States, which is pretty much Boston to New York to Philadelphia down to Washington, D.C. Of course, New York City, I can't say enough about it. One of the things I did want to point out, though, not only on this particular city, but anytime any of you see the word City Pass, which is the second bullet point in the middle of the picture, That's a big highlight, everyone. Most of our rail holidays typically include a hop-on, hop-off tour, which, again, as I mentioned, is a great way to get in and around these great cities. But also, some of them include what we refer to as city pass. And really what that is that's a pass that will get you into some of the major indoor attractions and sightseeing structures. So as an example, when I was in Chicago, I went to the Willis Tower, which was formerly known as the Sears Tower, one of the tallest buildings in all of Chicago. And I remembered when I went there was this huge line waiting to get in. And then to the left of the line, there was just a line with only about 7 or 8 people. Well, that line was everyone who had city passes. So whenever you see this included, everyone, this is a big highlight, especially in a city like New York. And even if it's not included, chances are Railbookers can help build that and add that into your rail holiday. So definitely ask about that. We'll also include dinner at New York's only revolving rooftop restaurant. They actually estimate, everyone, there's over 40,000 restaurants in New York City. Imagine that, everyone, over 40,000. Absolutely amazing. From there, we traveled to Philadelphia, home of the Liberty Bell, home of Betsy Ross, who designed the American flag. A lot of history here. Actually, the first newspaper that was ever created and started in America was actually started in Philadelphia. And then it's off to our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., where we do have a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour of this great city. My family and I actually just traveled to Washington, D.C. recently on April school vacation with my children, and they had the best time. We did do the hop-on, hop-off tour, and I could tell you firsthand, everyone, again, just a spectacular way to get in and around the city, and you have a local tour guide as well that's on each of the buses. So you have that flexibility to kind of hop on and hop off when and where you choose. So they have about 15 different stops all throughout the city that you can start and or get off and spend as much or as little as time as you would like. So this rail holiday, everybody, 10 days, 9 nights, and again, it's Boston, New York City, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. If you want a package that's a little bit shorter, you can make it a 7-day, and maybe it's Boston, New York, and Washington, D.C. Or you could do just New York and Washington, D.C., right? You could even go up to Niagara Falls from New York City. So, again, many, many different variations to choose from. And the last one that I'll mention is the All-American. So this pretty much takes all of our most popular rail holidays, everyone, and then puts it all into one entire, really, trip of a lifetime, and that's our All-American. So as you can see here, San Francisco, Denver, Chicago, New York City, and New Orleans. We also have some overnight journeys offered on the trains as well. So again, for those of you that really want that true rail holiday, and as Peter mentioned earlier, you know, with Michael Portillo and Billy Connolly, it's really bringing so much excitement and awareness to so many of our great travelers in the UK. So keep this trip in mind, and I'll kind of just give you a little overview before I move into the train accommodations. And as Peter mentioned, we will save some time at the end to answer any questions that you may have. So again, Chicago, this also includes New York City. Now, some of the trains we use, as an example, the Crescent Line, which would be included on this particular journey on our way to New Orleans. We also head over to, of course, San Francisco. And this is when we leave San Francisco, we travel on the California Zephyr on our way over into Denver, Colorado, known for the beautiful Rocky Mountains, and experience some of the great cuisine and meeting other travelers on board the train before hitting into Chicago. Again, so this trip itself, everyone, pretty much all these great cities. We include some meals, hop-on, hop-off tours. So again, definitely keep this one in mind. Certainly for those of you that want that true all-American experience, here it is for you, okay? So with that in mind, I'm going to move over to just the second portion of the presentation before we open it up to some questions. And I did want to mention, this is the seating and sleeping accommodations. Now, I've had the pleasure of traveling on some of the local trains in the UK, in particular Virgin, which is such a great way of getting in and around the UK. Here in the States, here is a picture of what we refer to as our coach accommodations, which would be our main seating on board the train. But take a look at this picture, everyone. Look at the leg room. Isn't that amazing? You know, even here in the States, whenever you fly, many times to get this type of leg room on many of the major airlines here in America, you have to pay extra. You have to upgrade to either business class or economy plus or economy comfort on some of the major U.S.-based airlines. This is the standard coach accommodations on board Amtrak. Look at that, everyone. Tons of leg room. By the way, wireless is available throughout most of the country, especially in all the major cities. Lots of room above the overhead. Typically, everyone's allowed 2 pieces of luggage as well as carry-ons that you can bring on board. Now, I'm sure Peter would agree, we definitely cannot encourage you enough to consider upgrading to either a roomette or a bedroom, which would be part of our sleeper category. So let me just kind of highlight this and explain it a little bit. Roomettes for us, just so everyone knows, is by far our most popular category. And again, Railbookers can tell you more about all the amenities and different aspects on each of these. However, we highly recommend on any rail holiday you're looking at, especially if you're looking to travel overnight on the train, to consider upgrading to a roomette or a bedroom. Many times to upgrade to a roomette from a coach seat might be as little or as minimal as only 100 or 200 quid. All right, just to give you an example, very, very affordable. Not only do you get your own private accommodations, okay, your own room, but you also get all your meals included on the overnight portion of your train journey. That's a big highlight. As you can see here too, roomettes typically fit 2 people in a room. So during the day, the seats fold up, a table folds down, you can play cards, you have a nice big picture window. Above the window is actually the bunk bed that folds down in the evening, and the 2 seats fold down, creating the lower bed below. There is a door that you can close and lock. Everyone also has his or her own private attendant in the same train car with other sleepers. So there's typically 1 Amtrak attendant per train car, per sleeping car rather, okay, where you'll be with other folks who are in roomettes or bedrooms. Now, one important thing to keep in mind with roomettes, everyone, is roomettes have what we call a private yet shared toilet and shower. So what does that mean? The toilet and shower is not inside of the roomette. However, it is in the same sleeping train car as the other people who are in roomettes or bedrooms. Typically, there's 2 to 3 toilets and 2 to 3 showers per sleeping car. And each sleeping car may have approximately 10 roomettes and about 4 to 5 bedrooms, just to kind of give you an idea. Again, by far our most popular category of sleepers. Now, for any of you who definitely want your own private toilet and your own private shower, then you would want to consider to upgrade to a bedroom. Now, bedrooms typically can fit 2 adults and 1 child. They are a little bit bigger, but again, you do have your own toilet and your own shower inside your bedroom. What I will say, and I know Peter knows this and the whole staff at Railbookers, regardless if you want a roomette or a bedroom, these sell out fast because there's only so many available on the train, especially if you're looking to travel to New York City or some of our beautiful national parks. You definitely want to keep that in mind. However, whatever you choose, everyone, rest assured you will be comfortable. Your friends and family will as well. I did want to mention, too, on any of the overnight journeys, regardless if you're in a coach seat, a roomette, or a bedroom, everyone has access to the observation cars, as you can see here, where they have the beautiful large picture windows to enjoy the scenery along the way. And speaking of enjoying scenery, how about enjoying the cuisine along the way? So again, a big highlight, everyone, if you upgrade to either a roomette or a bedroom on any of the overnight trains during your train holiday here in America, you will get all of your meals included on that overnight portion of your train journey. So for instance, breakfast consists of eggs and pancakes, waffles, croissants, tea, scones, coffee, okay? Lunch, cheeseburgers, chicken paninis, turkey clubs, dinner time, fish, pasta, salmon, steak, chicken, all different types. Again, food is fresh, made to order, and we do have a private chef on board the overnight journeys on the train, so keep that in mind. And what I always say is it's also a great opportunity to spend some time with each other and meet fellow travelers like yourself who just want to relax and enjoy all the sights and sounds along your journey. So before Peter and I open it up to any questions you may have, as our way and Railbookers' way of saying thank you to each and every one of you for attending, and this also applies for your friends and family because you also took time to attend today's presentation, and that is on select independent rail vacations, which was most of the rail holidays and vacations that I talked about here today. We're offering an extra special for each and every one of you and your friends and family. If you book through Railbookers by August 31st or before August 31st to travel anytime this year or anytime in 2017, we're going to offer £100 off per couple, otherwise 50 pounds off per person. Okay, so it's 100 pounds off per couple, otherwise 50 pounds off per person. Again, as long as you book with Railbookers before August 31st to travel anytime this year or anytime in 2017. And all you'll need to do is just let them know the promo code, which is Amtrak Vacations, when you give them a call. Or certainly you can email them, and that's info@railbookers.com to learn more about any of these or any other exciting rail holidays available here in America. So definitely keep that great incentive in mind. As I mentioned earlier, you can call Railbookers Holiday Specialists, and that number is provided right there in the middle of the screen. So again, feel free to write that number down if you choose, and any of their holiday specialists would be more than happy to help each and every one of you. So with that in mind, I just wanted to say thank you to Peter for allowing me to be his guest speaker today. I did want to mention, if it's okay with Peter, I wanted to hopefully do the honors of announcing who the winner of our 100-pound Amtrak Vacations gift certificate is. And before we open it up to any questions that you may have, let me first and foremost congratulate John Saxon. John Saxon, you are our winner of our 100-pound Amtrak Vacations gift certificate. So congratulations, John. I hope you will enjoy whatever rail holiday that you choose to book through Railbookers. So with that in mind, as Peter mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, if anyone has any questions, I want you to please feel free to type those away in the question box. I do see that we have a couple questions, so I will do my very best to answer these, and if there's anything I may not know, Peter can certainly help out as well. So first question we have is, can we start our rail holiday in New York City and end in Los Angeles? Great question. So again, any of these rail holidays can be tailor-made to be as long or as short as you want, to start and or end wherever you would like, to include as much or as little as you would like. So just like Peter said at the beginning, Railbookers truly can do everything and anything for you, including booking your flights as well. So really that one-stop shop, okay? Next question, as far as signing up for a holiday, how would we go about purchasing insurance? So great question. I guess I could probably turn that over to Peter, who might be able to kind of highlight on that a little bit more, and hopefully answer any question.
Yes, currently Railbookers don't sell travel insurance, but you just need to contact a travel insurance specialist, especially go to the States with the high cost of healthcare there. It's a condition of booking with Railbookers that you obtain travel insurance, but we're not insurance specialists, we're rail specialists, so we'd rather you make those arrangements with a travel insurance specialist.
Great. Okay, thank you, Peter. And a last question is, I am interested in Yellowstone, Yosemite. How soon do I need to book? So great question. Really on any of the rail holidays, we have pretty much just come out with all of our dates and rates for next year, which is now available through Railbookers. So I would encourage each and every one of you, whatever rail holiday you're thinking about, give Railbookers a call or certainly send them an email at info@railbookers.com, and we can create a great holiday to your liking to make sure it's exactly what you're looking for. Okay.
And Jimmy, I'd just like to add that with the accommodation being inside the national parks, they do fill up quickly. So the sooner you can make your plans and book, the greater choice of dates and accommodations you would have.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Well, with that in mind, everybody, it looks like that's the questions that we've had for today. Again, I wanted to thank Peter for allowing me to be his guest speaker. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you all for joining us today on this virtual presentation, and stay tuned because there'll be more to come. And I just, again, wanted to thank Peter, and I'll turn it back over to Peter for any last words. Thanks, everyone.
I just want to, just thank you. Thanks, everyone. Mirror what Jim said, and hopefully we'll be welcoming you on a tour of America by rail shortly, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.